Hey guys, Daniel here. I have wanted to do this review for a while, but I wanted to give myself time to get to know the machine, the ins and outs, problems, good, bad, everything. It's been a year and 2 days, approximately, since we had the machine. I know we got the machine, I believe, the day before Thanksgiving last year, and today is the day after Thanksgiving, 2018. So it's been exactly a year and a couple days here. We're not sponsored by anybody. Nobody gives us free tools. Nobody pays us, except for the jobs we do. So I'm going to give you an honest review. I feel better about the machine now than I did in the beginning. In the beginning, there were quite a few problems with setup. For instance, the enclosure was really hard to get right. It seemed like it was bent or bowed, so we could never get it, set up properly. Even now, there's like a little panel in the back that slides. Since the enclosure's bowed, there's a gap between that panel that slides in the back of the machine. We tried everything we could to get that going. I've seen people have been able to put it together themselves. It took me and my brother to put it together, and there were a lot of problems. So, for instance, like on the enclosure, I don't remember exactly where, somewhere around where it holds the wheels on or something, there's these little aluminum blocks that looked like they were made in somebody's garage, to be honest. They were rough cut, tapped, thrown in a tumbler. The hole, since I'm assuming this is a problem, since they went through the tumbler and it was just aluminum, they marred the threads or something. I had to run taps through a bunch of threads, not because of paint or overspray or anything like that, because they weren't tapped right the first time, or the tumbling process destroyed the threads. I'm not sure. Either way, I wasn't happy about that. We're trying to get our machine together, trying to follow instructions, get every, this and that, run into the problems, and then you don't want to run into problems that, you have to rethread parts that should have been threaded properly from the factory. That's one of the, I don't know if it's a minor issue or not, but it was very frustrating at the time. Had to dig out all my tools and start, tapping different pieces, and I digress. So I was pretty unhappy with the lathe right away, and so I didn't want to do a review until I had a good amount of time to spend it on it. Luckily, though, probably if you're watching this video is because you want to buy a Tormach, or you're interested in one and you really want me to say that it's a good machine, and I have to say it actually is a pretty decent machine. We've had, I don't even know how many hundreds of parts I've run on this machine, thousands probably. We run mostly stainless. This machine really wasn't designed for stainless. Plastic and aluminum, I think, is what they generally, and some steel, but anyway, we run stainless on this thing, at least 80%, and probably even 90%. We only aluminum things I've made is a couple mandrels and two small, like, one-off parts in aluminum, so everything else has been stainless. And I've even cut keyways on the machine. We cut it 8/10 at a time. It takes a little while to get there, and I don't want to do it on this machine forever, but it's, what I have to do right now. So yeah, the machine's been way better than expected. It has some issues, it has some bugs. I'm gonna try not to get into all of them, or maybe even any of them, until I get a chance to check out their new update. I think they put 1.25 out of PathPilot, and I barely got to look at it, so it's really hard for me to say if any of the bugs have been fixed. I have to break this video up because my battery, one of the biggest problems I have is if you stop a program, if you're running a program and you stop it after the tool changes, but before it gets to the next tool, it will think the tool didn't change. It'll have the wrong tool number. So if you continue the code on, it'll think it's on the right tool, and it'll cause all kind of problems. Luckily, that doesn't happen. Well, luckily that bug is usually only when you hit stop. There's a rare occasion that it does happen, and it happened to me once, and for some reason I'd been running the code, looping this code, it made several parts, and then just all of a sudden it rotated over to the center drill and tried to face the part off with a center drill. Obviously that's not going to work. It crammed the center drill into my spindle nose. I was pretty unhappy about that. I'll get to that later, how it was handled via support when I get to the next section here. I'm going to try to break this down into different sections for ease for me and because the camera has to. So as far as sales and delivery, packing, shipping, all of that stuff, we didn't have any issues. We had actually purchased way more than we needed. I think the base model somewhere around maybe 16. It's been a while since I looked. We ended up spending, I think, 23. I'm not sure. Somewhere at least 20,000 there. We got gang play. We got the turret. We got a bunch of tooling, a bunch of things that we knew we probably wouldn't need, but we wanted to get going and didn't want to have to buy something later or not be able to go. So we ordered everything. I don't remember the exact time. It was a decent amount of time. I mean, a decent time frame we got our machine in. I believe a few weeks. It wasn't anything abnormal. We set the machine up, like I said earlier, the issues we had with that. But as far as the delivery and calling in and talking to people and getting pre-sales help, no issues whatsoever. Some of the issues, some of the questions they wouldn't answer, like machine capabilities and stuff. But overall, I got what I needed. I got the machine, and like I said, I'm pretty happy with the machine. So that'll lead us into the next part of ease of use. The machine is incredibly easy to use. The conversational code is pretty darn good. You can do just about anything. I wouldn't try to do 3D contour parts or anything like that. I mean, you can through the conversational, but I haven't messed with it, and I'm not sure how good it is. It'd be better to do that through CAD. But I'd say at least 80% of the parts we put out are done through the conversational. Usually they're pretty simple parts, but you can get ankle chamfers in, you can get tapers, you can thread, you can tap, you can obviously OD turn, face, all the normal operations. You can do most things. Trying to get a nice, contour of some shape or whatever might be better done and not through conversational, but the conversational is pretty good. And like I said, we use it mostly. It's quick to do, it's easy to edit. The only thing I don't really like, and it's not about the conversational, it's more about their file system. It's ridiculously stupid. Their file system, copying, renaming, moving is horrible. You can't just copy to another file name unless you go edit the file and save as, or conversationally edit and save it as. You can't just copy a file. The only place you can copy a file to is on the thumb drive. So it's, anyway, their file system could use a little help there, but I haven't messed with that much since 2.15, I believe is the version number. So hopefully a lot of those bugs got fixed. They added something that I thought was cool, which was it has a countdown now. When the parts, it tells you how much time is left and how much time has passed. That's pretty neat. And also they added a feeds and speeds under each conversational option, where you can choose plastic and quite a few options, HDP, Delrin, UMHW. And then a bunch under aluminum. They had all the types of aluminum. Nothing for steel, nothing for stainless. I can't find a way to edit that. Like I said, I haven't spent a whole lot of time, but it'd be nice where I could add in my own feeds and speeds for stainless, but I don't see an option to do that currently. Trying to think. I think that's going to be it as far as the machine. I mean, it's super easy to use. The machine's great. I'll go ahead and jump into things here. We had to do quite a few upgrades to get this machine where we wanted it to be. I mean, the machine will make parts on its own. They have a collet closer now that's supposed to be super great. I haven't used it. I think it's like $100 or so, at least at the last time I looked at it. The collet closer we bought, can't remember what it was, a couple grand I think, and it didn't. I mean, it worked well enough manually. When we tried to automate it, we had a lot of problems. We went through a lot. I'll show or have shown these videos where all the modifications we've done to the lathe, but we did quite a bit of modifications to get it to run well and spent quite a bit of money on accessories and stuff to get it to work well. But once we did, it's actually running pretty good. I can run so I started out running, I've got a Nest camera watching my lathe. So if I'm running a bunch of parts that can be pulled on their own, I'll leave for a while and come back. I started at 5 parts, now I have it up to 20, 25 parts. Really, as long as my bar currently on the job I was running is 25 parts maximum I can get out of a bar without it getting too crazy, hanging out the back. So, you know, I'll let it run those without worrying about it. I listen in while I'm watching TV or working on you know, videos or whatever. I can listen into to the machine parting off, and then I know what to expect in the next couple operations. So I kind of just listen to it, make sure. I want to talk about Tormach support here. I wish it was better. I wish I didn't have to say this, but it's horrible. When I call in and say, hey, you know, my machine just ran itself into the spindle on its own, and the reply is, well, you know, our support policy is a 24-hour period before you can talk to somebody. I don't know what. Sorry, guys. I don't know what is important about having a 24-hour period. They try to say, oh, our support's so good, you know, we have the greatest support ever, you know, pre-sale support, yada, yada, yada. That's why, you know, we give such great pre-sale support that, you know, you're going to have to wait for your regular support. Well, I'll tell you what, Tormach. Pre-sale support is called sales. It's not called pre-sale support. The people who you're supporting, they have questions about the product. They don't have any problems with the product because they don't have the product. They're asking you, oh, well, hey, what can your machine do? And that's a sales question. So you can't say that, oh, I'm holding off my people who have paid me their support so that we can do this pre-sale support. You should have 2 departments, and if you can't handle the amount of calls you're getting, hire somebody else instead of just telling the customer, hey, sorry, you're going to have to wait 24 hours to find your problem. I've been over this several times with them. You know, something as little as, hey, I need a screw. You guys aren't listing, I need a screw for this tool holder. Which one is it? It doesn't list on your website anywhere. Well, have you checked the manual? Yes, I did. It's not there. Oh, okay, well, let me look for you. And 2 days before they can call me back with a part number for a screw for their tool holders, I find their support just ridiculous, like I said. They try, and I had actually had a technician tell me, you know, I'm putting other people on support calls on hold to talk to you. Well, I'm sorry, I called in and I need support. Like, I'm not sure what the problem is here. They're super not friendly about giving you support. So here's another example. When the machine ran into my spindle and somebody finally called me back, the technician told me, hey, yeah, we know about this problem. It's super rare, and I've been trying to tell the developers that there's this problem. Can you help me, narrow it down so that we can pinpoint it and make it, reproduce it so that we can show the developers and we can get the problem solved. No problem. I'll help you out. I'd like it solved for my own benefit as well. At first, let's not forget, I asked if we could get a spindle nose replacement because the center drill came in and scratched it all up. They said they didn't think it was necessary, that I should be able to just face it off with the machine and use it anyway. Maybe, but your machine caused a problem on its own and gouged up the front of my spindle, and I don't know if that's used to reference the chuck or anything. I'm not sure. He didn't seem to know, but he told me I should face it off instead of the nice ground finish that I have on it now. They did tell me that they would replace my broken tool holder. There was no broken tool holder, it was just the center drill that was broken, and I don't care about a center drill. So, moving on, I was told then, hey, so what I need you to do is do 500 tool changes and let me know if there's a problem. Okay, no problem. I'll do the 500 tool changes for you. at the time, I only knew how to set up code that would continuously loop. I was having an issue with my looping code. So I got off the phone and then I realized, oh, you know what? I'm not going to be able to loop this 500 times. I'm going to be able to loop it infinitely overnight, and I really don't want to put that kind of wear and tear on my machine. So, you know, let me call back, talk to the guy, and see if he can help me with the loop code to make it loop 500 times and stop. So I call back. He doesn't answer. I get a voicemail. I leave a voicemail telling him what the problem, you know, hey, all I need is a couple lines of code to help me loop this. Never calls me back. Call him next week. Never calls me back. I sent in an email, completely unrelated, asking for the same help. I was giving code back. I told the guy, I don't understand the code. Can you just give me the 3 lines of code to make it loop instead of giving me all this other information so I can test it? Never replied back to me. I did get help online, and I don't want to say who it is because I can't remember it. Helped me with the code, and now I can get it to loop. But the problem is that support wouldn't help me help them solve their problem. I couldn't even get a call back for me to run 500 tool changes on my machine so that they could see the problem. That's not the support I would give. That's not the support I would give. And I expect that if I give a company $1,000, that they'd give me the time of day. At least talk to me the same day. At least call me back. You know, if you didn't call me, if I have to wait a day to get a call back, at least call me back when I leave you a message and ask and tell you, hey, in order to continue, can you call me back? So support is garbage. Support is absolute garbage from Tormach, as far as I'm concerned. All right. So now that I've told you that Tormach's support is absolute garbage, let's talk about the machine. We've made our money back on the machine. The machine's paid for itself. We're in a unique situation. I don't think everybody, or most people can just go out there and buy this Tormach and expect it to pay for itself. We have a good setup where we have jobs coming in all the time. I mean, I have jobs right now. I always have jobs. So it was relatively easy for us to make the money back on the Tormach. Our parts don't have to be super precise. The Tormach holds a pretty good tolerance. I can keep it within half a thou relatively easily, and a thou I don't even have to worry about. So so the machine does pretty good. Like I said, we made our money back on it. I don't want to tell other people that, hey, yeah, get a Tormach, you can make your money back. I don't expect most people can. It's not really a business machine. Like, when you call into support, when my machine went down and I called into support and was told, well, sorry bro, you're going to have to wait 24 hours to even talk to anybody. Peace. That's frustrating when you got parts to make. So unless you're doing hobby style and your parts can wait, I might not get a Tormach. That's the reason we're getting a Haas, is because I can have somebody on site to fix my problem instead of talking to somebody who may or may not even call me back. The next thing I want to talk about is the tooling on the machine. We bought, like I said, almost everything. Should you buy gang plate versus turret? Those are the big things. Coolant, I'm not sure. Like, we added an add-on coolant thing. I think the coolant it comes with, the little copper tubes, is pretty sufficient. But a lot of times they get knocked out of the way, so we came up with it. We have another solution by then with all the hoses you see up there. It's not great either. It's not the best either, but it works. So the main things are going to be the turret, enclosure, and the gang plate, I guess. Enclosure, a definite must. I mean, if you plan on doing anything other than aluminum and you want to be able to walk away from your machine, it's a given. So the important thing is turret versus gang plate. If you're doing, like us, we do any kind of random jobs. I mean, I'll do parts that are about, I think 4 inches is probably about the biggest I've done, down to less than ½ inch, 1/4 inch stuff, mostly down to ½ inch. So we got quite a big range. Our parts are significantly different, each one of them. So the turret is a better option for us. We get 8 tools in there. They can be changed out relatively easily. So if you're doing smaller parts, and if you're doing a bunch of one part, say you've got, you've got, say all I needed was to make spacers, or I had huge jobs of that, or whatever, I would probably go with the gang plate, because as long as they're small parts, it's the problems when you get into the longer parts, the tools, banging into each other, and the diameter. So as long as you've got like sub-inch round and, a couple inch long parts, I would probably go with the gang plate if you had to choose, because you can get a lot more tools in a smaller space, and every time you do a tool change, you have to back up to a safe Z, do a tool change, come back in. When you're doing the gang plate, you do as well, but you only have to back up a little bit, and then you just move over and catch your next tool. So it depends on what you're doing. If you need speed and you're doing small parts, go for gang plate. If you need the ability to kind of make anything, go with the turret. We have a turret and half gang plate, and that works perfect for us. I wouldn't bother ever trying to pull the turret out of that thing. It wasn't super hard to get in, but the enclosure's like all sealed up with putty and stuff because of its lack of it being all out of shape. But so I wouldn't want to try to pull that off and try to get that out of there again. It wouldn't be any fun. But so really, that's all I have to say. I know I was pretty tough on Tormach support, but they've put me in that position. Alright, I wanted to re-record all the video that I've already done, because I didn't have all the dates and times and prices and everything together that I wanted to have. So like I said, I was going to re-record it, but Wes Johnson, who we bought the Morisiki SL20 lathe from, he linked to my channel, and I appreciate that. Thanks very much. I've gotten quite a few new subscribers, and I want to thank the subscribers for subscribing as well. But they are interested, you guys are interested in seeing this video. So instead of holding off on this video, I wanted to go ahead and get it out. So I'm going to go ahead and text over, the video instead of re-recording everything. Chief Machining put out a video about 2 years ago. It's still relevant. It's about whether you should buy a Tormach or a used machine. His video was about mills, and I have a lathe, so it's a little different, but it relates quite a bit. I agree 100% with his video. His video is basically saying that you should buy a used machine versus getting a new Tormach. And like I said, I absolutely agree. But there's a flip side to the coin, and here it is. These are the reasons why we got the Tormach. We already had jobs lined up, and I didn't want to get a machine that we didn't know how to use. The Tormach came with conversational, which was going to make, well, it made things way better. I didn't have to, learn any G-code for lathes. I already knew how to do G-code for mill, so I figured it wouldn't be too big of a deal, but we got the conversational anyway. My inexperience with a production style machine just wasn't going to work for a lot of reasons. I think that I didn't want to get a machine that if something went wrong, I didn't know if it was the machine's fault or my fault. I really wanted to be confident that I knew, at least that the machine was running right and that any of the problems were mine. I can't even see buying a machine out of state, knowing nothing about the machine, getting it in, and even with the knowledge I have now, being able to determine that, yeah, 100% it's not operator error, depending on what the problem is. So a year ago, I had a lot less experience with CNC lathes. I had no experience with CNC lathes, only CNC mills. So yeah, that was a big factor. Getting a machine that I didn't know how to figure out if it was a good machine or not. Whether it was worn out or not. Everybody's like, oh yeah, you can get good ones and you can get worn out ones, but no real good way to tell. So that was our biggest issue. I didn't want to get a machine that I didn't know how to use. I thought there was going to be support for the Tormach, so we were going to, have somebody to talk to if we had a problem. Whereas if you bought a used machine, you are not going to have support. We had jobs, so I couldn't rely on posting in the forums to, to wait back a week or so for a reply. We bought the bandsaw from Wes, and we trust Wes. It was a good machine. I watch his videos. I know how he takes care of his machines and stuff. So it was a really good fit for us to buy from him. Now at this point that we have a lot of or a lot more experience than we originally had. I'm kind of rushing through this because the new subscribers, and I want to get this video out for everybody. But I wanted to thank all the new subscribers. Thanks for Wes for linking to my channel. I guess we'll finish with this. Who is the machine for? I'd say if you're a hobbyist, don't want to have to learn all the G code and everything, I think the Tormach is for you. If you want to make a bunch of parts and you're going to try to make a business and you're going to try to make money at it, it's definitely worth learning the G code, learning the production machines, and cranking out all the parts you want. We're going to hopefully make lots and lots of parts with this new machine from Wes. It's a Morsiki SL20, again, slant lathe. I'm not sure exactly when we're getting the machine, but I hope you guys subscribe and stick around. It's going to be amazing. If you have any questions or comments, please post them, and I'll reply back to anything you got. Thanks, guys.